If you want to make bread that has an open crumb, you need to have a super active starter. In this video, I'll be showing you a couple of techniques how to make sure your sourdough starter is as active as it should. Baking, in my opinion, is mostly about properly controlling the fermentation process. If you master the fermentation process, then nothing can stop you. Those were just some of the examples that I baked. And I've been learning to bake for around 2 years now. And I'm still learning. One of my biggest learnings was to make my starter more active. If you like oven spring, then you need to have a super healthy and active starter. Look at my starter here. There is no starter. Exactly. So what I like to do is I like to almost completely deplete my starter from time to time. Have a look, there's only starter left on the edges of the container. I'm baking a Bavarian rye bread here, and this took all my starter. So it's actually more than 20%, it's around 35%. Which is completely fine for this bread. That's why I like to bake this. I can use all my starter. Having an active starter is super important. I can't stress it enough. At the start, my starter was always way too sour. This is so important because especially if you want to make a wheat bread, we're just talking about wheat breads here. For all the other breads, having a not so active starter, a slightly more sour starter is completely fine. Only if you want to bake wheat breads which have excellent oven spring, then you need this active starter. If your starter is too sour, which happens if you did not feed it for long enough, if you did not add enough new flour to it, then your starter becomes very sour. This sourness is going to attack the gluten network, and that means that your dough is going to turn into a gooey mess at some point. I had this before and I was always wondering why. So this is what I've learned basically. I'm completely depleting my starter here, and tomorrow I want to bake bread. So it's early morning right now. So what I'm going to do is I took everything and fed it to the starter bread. And now I'm just going to be adding another 25 grams of water and 25 grams of flour. This means I'm going to have around 50 grams of starter in 24 hours. 24 hours because it takes a while. We depleted the whole starter, so there's not much yeast and not much bacteria left. And tomorrow morning again, I'm gonna have around 50 grams. And I'm just gonna be feeding that with another 50 grams of flour and another 50 grams of water. And around 6 hours later, my starter is gonna be super active. It doesn't have too much fermented flour. It's not going to be too sour. And then I'm ready to use that with the bread that I plan to bake. So I can't stress enough, have an active starter. Your starter needs to ferment in a short period of time if you want to make sourdough wheat. Deplete your sourdough from time to time, just like that. This is really enough to reactivate your starter. And try to find some recipes where you can use more of your discard starter, like this one, for instance. All right, hope this was helpful.